Hi everyone. In today's video, we're going to be building a Vite or Vite micro front end along with RSBuild. So the scope of this video is exploring the new Module Federation Vite or Vite package. It'll give official support for the Federation V2 runtime, which includes plugins. So there's a great example out on the official site for this. So on the GitHub page, you could find some examples there. But let's walk through building it from scratch. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set this up like a monorepo. So we're going to go over to the Vite website or Vite, whatever. We're going to go ahead and create a new Vite project. So we are going to just call this host, and we will call this this will be React, and we'll use TypeScript. So right now we've got a simple project in here that'll be our host application. So we will just call that host. And what we are going to do is just prefix it with Vite-host in the package JSON name. So now that the host project is created, we're going to go ahead and just start on our simple command here. I am going to be using pnpm here. So the first thing we want to do is create the pnpm workspace YAML file here. And we're going to create projects for the host. And we can come in here, run an install. Let's see here. Oh, packages. So we'll go ahead and install all of the packages necessary for our one particular project. Okay, now that our install has finished, we can try to run our start command here. Our start command should start the host, and we should be able to see our Vite project running here. I just like saying Vite over Vite. We're going to go over now to RSBuild. RSBuild here, you could use RSPack if you want. I am just going to stick with their create RSBuild script here. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. We are going to say RSBuild remote. We will choose React and TypeScript, and we'll add biome here. So now we've got our RSBuild remote. So we will say, go into our workspaces here. We will add the RSBuild remote. Now we will go into our project here. We will prefix this with Vite as well. So we're going to go back to our main package JSON and just do change the prefix a little bit. So for Vite, the command was dev. For RSBuild, the command was dev. Should be able to say start. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and do our install real quick. So now RSBuild should be added to the workspace as well. So again, we're just going to kind of take just a mono repo approach here. No NX, nothing fancy. And let's verify our start command runs both projects, and it should. So we've got RSBuild and we've got Vite running. So everything is looking good. So we're going to do one more Vite project, and we are going to just create a remote. So let's stop our command here. We'll run it again. We'll say Vite remote. We'll make this React TypeScript, and we'll let it create. So now we've got three applications in the main workspace here. We're going to go in and add Vite remote to our pnpm workspaces. We'll go ahead and run install. It's pretty much a duplicate. So let's go ahead and fix up the package JSON here. So it's actually already Vite dash. I named that one correctly. So now if we do start just as a sanity check, we should see 3 projects start. There should be a conflict here, which is fine. So you'll see that the remote starts up on another port. Let's go ahead and stop our commands here. So we've got our package JSON in the root. We will go in and add a dependency of module federation Vite. And right now, I think, yeah, 1.1.1 is the latest. So we'll install it. Okay. Now that it's installed, we just have to do a couple of small things here. So the first thing we're going to do is open up the Vite config in our host, and we are going to go over to the official package page here. And just kind of for reference, we'll go through and we'll look at one setting in the Vite config that you're going to want, and it's going to be called build target Chrome 89. There's a couple of different ways you can configure this, but this is basically adding the top await support to the application, which is a requirement. So you want to make sure you have that. So you'll go into your other Vite project, which is our remote. We'll add the same thing as well. Now, at this point here, we have we have two Vite projects, and we want to just kind of pin the port here. So what I'll do is I'll just go in my remote here, and I will just pin the port on 4001. So now that we have basically three projects running, we want to go in and we want to figure out how we kind of expose the projects out. So let's just kind of add some boilerplate into each one and add like that traditional bootstrap file that you find in Module Federation projects, which I think pretty soon will be a thing of the past. But so let's go ahead and add it, and just we'll do kind of the same thing here as well. So we'll just, and you don't have to do it like this. There's a lot of different ways to import it. It's just something that I've stayed consistent on most of the things that I've did. So I will follow the same pattern here. And then the last one for our Vite remote. So let's go ahead and take main, and we will add it here. And then inside of our main file, we'll just import the bootstrap. So now everything should work across the board. In the Vite configs, we're targeting Chrome 89 here. So you just want to make sure you do that as well. Now we have the plugin installed at the monorepo level, so we don't have to install it in every one of our projects. So we can come into here and we can start importing. So we will import, and it's called Federation. And we will put this in here. And you'll start to see a lot of pretty familiar options in here. So right now, we don't have a anything to expose. So this is just the host. We will say, we'll give it the file name, and for remotes, we're going to say, we'll just call it Vite. And we will say HTTP localhost. So this is 4000. So this will be the actual Vite remote here in our repo. So what we could do, so I'll just kind of copy this over here. Oops, except for the port part. Don't want to lose that. Here, just copy the plugin. And now, let's see here. We'll call this Spike. So we don't have any here in terms of remotes, but we will have expose. So we will expose out our app file, which is that kind of main, let's see here, right, remote, our main app file. So I'll just put the word remote in it. And now if we go and we run these, we should see that our remote starts up on that port, our host starts up on this port, and our remote starts up on the other port. So now let's go. At this point, this is the Module Federation plugin, so it's installed on our remote. It's installed here on our host page, and if I go to this directly, just to make sure that this is running here, it would help if I put the right port, 4001. You can see the remote entry file. So the remote entry files being generated, so that's pretty standard in Module Federation, right? So now we've got our Vite remote running. I just have to correct the port here, and we're exposing out the app component. So let's go ahead and just import the app component here. So what we want to do is we want to use React Lazy. So we're going to say Vite remote React Lazy, and we are going to import Vite.app. That is correct. I'm going to expect error here because the types aren't going to be available right this second, right? So there is, I believe, support to generate the federated types, or maybe the support's coming. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and comment that out. Let's go ahead and rerun. RSBuild opens. I could open the other one, but that's fine. So now the application loads, and you could tell there's no error. So let's go back in here and let's load it. maybe underneath. So let's do this here, and then we will throw in a suspense, and we will say Vite remote. Okay, now that we have our remote application imported and we have temporarily just bypassed the types for now, and we have the suspense and the component rendering here, there is one other change we want to do. One, you want to make sure that you're sharing React and React DOM. So we're going to do that in our host, and we're going to do that in our remote. In our remote, we are using React hooks, so it's important to share React in this case, and they'll automatically default as singletons, and the shared versions will be calculated as well. So you don't have to be explicit here. You can kind of just leave that as is. And one thing you want to do here is the remote signature in this plugin is a tiny bit different. And one of the main reasons you have to be careful here and just kind of take note of this is that um, Webpack and I believe RSPack and RSBuild, maybe not RSBuild, I have to double check, but they will compile as common.js. So usually in the module federation config, there was this, I think it's called library field, and it defaults to var var. Um, some said it explicitly. You don't have to, but in Vite, it is defaulting to ESM. So you want to make sure that your Vite remote is set to type module. So you'll use this kind of um, fancier import object here, right? So instead of just kind of putting the URL here, which is acceptable, and it's an acceptable type. So if I go ahead and I just run this real quick, and RSBuild pops up, if I go to open up the host, the one thing you'll see is that it will throw an error, and you'll see this cannot use import statement outside of a module. So what you want to do is you want to just kind of use the more elaborate syntax here. So the name will just match. You'll provide the type module, and the entry will be the URL. So if I come in here and I refresh it now, you'll see that I've got the remote loading inside of the Vite host, and they're sharing React, but different instances of state here, right? So um, anyway, so that's basically just hooking up the two remotes. It's fairly simple, right? The plugin is almost identical to Federation with Webpack or RSPack if you've used it. So let's move over to RSBuild and get RSBuild set up. So in RSBuild, when we go into the config here, you will see that there is the module federation plugin. And if we go to or sorry, I shouldn't say plugin, I should say configuration object. So I can come in here and it'll give me, kind of all of the types here that, you'll see will be kind of inherited, kind of, deep down the chain here, but I guess it needs to be under options here. So we're going to give it RSBuild, and we don't have to set the file name, but you can set it if you want. And we're going to expose out this app component, which is just that RSBuild thing we keep seeing popping up. So we're going to just expose that out. And we've called this RSBuild here. I believe we can come in here and we'll just set the port to 4002. We'll go back to our host here. We will add a new remote. We'll call this RSBuild. Um, let's see here how close this gets. So one thing to note is that this won't be a module. You'll have to say var here. So this will be kind of that backwards support with common.js. And I should be able to come in here and load. Now I haven't imported it yet, right? I'm just kind of exporting out this component. So I can come into my Vite app, and I can say RSBuild remote and do the import here. This one will need the expect as well. And oops. Okay. Now you can see it looks terrible, but you can see the remote loading here, right? So if I come in and I'll just kind of adjust RSBuild real quick. And let's get rid of this class here, this content class. And you could see this here. And maybe what we'll do is we'll just add like a quick border to it, right? So you can see RSBuild, and then you can see the other front end applications here running. Now, just to recap again, so again, this was pretty easy. This is just setting up, in a monorepo, but you want to use the module federation Vite or Vite, however you want to pronounce it, package. So the Vite package is installed here. You're giving it that plugin interface, and the plugin interface is very similar, with the kind of the exception of the support for the different remote types. And, again, this is important. These are build time remotes, so I'm not like loading them at runtime or anything. But if you did use, one of the runtime hooks, load remote, you just want to make sure that you're setting the right type, right? Either it's an ESM module or it's not, and you're, importing a common JS module. So that's still kind of required here. And again, for RSBuild, the config is pretty simple. It's already part of the RSBuild config. So all you're doing is just setting the types, and then you're just importing it into the remote, or into the host, I should say. So hopefully this video was helpful. This was just kind of a walkthrough and just showing kind of the compatibility now between Vite, RSBuild, RSPack, Webpack. You can load any federated remote across ecosystems now, which is pretty huge. So you don't have to use Origin JS. They have their own federation package, which does work, but there's a lot of caveats there with things like support for React, and it's in Webpack remote. So there's some compatibility issues to be aware of there, and this should just be a drop-in replacement for it. And again, it is compatible with the Federation runtime here. So there is a plugin array, so you can have your own plugins. So most of kind of what you see in the module Federation documentations for V2 here is supported as well. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, please subscribe, and I will be doing more videos around this topic in the future. Thank you.